Ladies and gentlemen, Tactical Advance here, and welcome back to some more Star Citizen. Now today, we're going to have a look at a bit of a short video of the FPS module that has been announced by Star Citizen. And let's watch the video first of all, and then we'll have a bit of a chat at the end, and I'll give you some, what I think of what was been seen so far.
Fortress or a Call of Duty thing where you just sort of respawn and get back in the game, because obviously there should be consequences if you try to board someone else's ship and you get shot. It's not like you should just respawn and go back in. So the type of game that we're designing means that we have to switch it around to be sort of a more thoughtful, tactical experience with also more, essentially consequences to your actions. So we don't have death with respawn, so it's a constant sort of looming threat. We do have sort of, if you want to think of it as a respawn mechanic, you get shot, you can get shot in various different parts, your legs, your arms. If you get shot on a leg, you'll sort of limp around. Get shot in an arm, you won't be able to use it, and when people go down, they get wounded and they're bleeding out. Now you can drag them to safety and you can fix them up, and that's sort of the in-fiction sort of respawn way to do it. If you don't drag them to safety and the opposing side gets there and does a headshot, well then you're dead, you're out for that consequences. So that's really, I think, it's pretty interesting. It will change some of the dynamic of the first-person combat. So unparalleled fidelity, unequaled realism. So if we go back into the hangar, right, so just to generate, so you guys were asking about various things like breathing and stuff like that. So we're actually in a build, we're actually in the first-person shooter branch of the build, which has a whole different level of animation that we've been working on, besides what you've seen in the hangar, which is sort of very rudimentary. And so as you can see, here, he's in the light marine outfit. You may actually be able to notice that he's breathing right now, and you can see his breathing. And when he was moving, you can see him breathing. You can see you've got the nice reflections on the glass and everything. And if we go back inside first-person view, and we start to move around, I don't know if you can see, there's a very subtle thing on the bottom. You actually can see your breath on the visor there. And as you're moving around, and you get out of breath, and so. So in terms of real combat, if you're running around at a certain point and you're out of breath, it's sort of like you can't maybe shoot as well and you can't run quite as fast. So if I'm quiet, you can hear the breathing now as he starts to move. So that's part of the aspect. Wait a minute, you'll see that later on. Another thing to point out as we're moving around here is, from a first-person standpoint, I'm really interested in trying to have an immersive experience. So when you're in a helmet, in a marine combat suit or any other kind of spacesuit combat suit, you really sort of are in the helmet. And so if you weren't, you'd have a slightly wider vision. So here, one of the things that we've done is we actually model the eyes separately from the head. So if you look all the way down, if you think about when you look down, at a certain point, your eyes start to go down instead of your head because it can't go down anymore. Same if you go up and you go left or right, which is sort of what we're doing on the helmet here. And then there's also one other aspect that we're doing in terms of moving around. Mostly in first-person shooters, the actual first-person mode itself is separate from third person. What that means is, like, a lot of times it's cheated and there's a camera floating in space and there's two arms right next to the head and they're holding a gun, and it's not actually physically correct. And it's done that way because in the old days, you didn't have the fidelity to have sort of detail on the hands, and also just sort of trying to make it physically correct so it's one model, one setup between first and third person is actually quite difficult. For us, we really wanted to do that because the whole idea of Star Citizen is immersion. You should be able to look down, see your body, shouldn't be any different between first and third person. So that is definitely what we have here, and we do a couple of subtle things. And I talked about we model the eyes separately. So generally, one of the reasons why they do first person separately is because if you just put a camera where a person's running and bouncing up and down, well, if you did that with a GoPro or something, you'd sort of see the camera going up and down. It would make you sick. If, as a person, you're running around, what happens is you tend to focus on a point in the distance, and your brain and your eyes are sort of adjusting as you move around. So we actually model that in this, where we basically have a target point, and if you see, our view in the distance stays locked in the same point. But if you're in the inside, as I'm running and bouncing up and down, you can suddenly feel like a little perspective shift here, because what's happening is your head's actually bouncing up and down, but your eyes are always trying to keep focused on the same point. So in terms of that, we sort of feel like it gives a much better sense of immersion and motion. If we pull out a gun, I think, by the way, let's see, what you see is what you play. I'm kind of going through our slides here. So no old school floating guns. Correctly simulated eyes, head, and body. That's on my little presentation here. And first and third person animations are unified. So that means that whatever we're doing in the first and the third person animation is exactly the same. So we can also do things like now I've got the gun here, I can look down. Let's get into a place where we can actually see the gun a little better. Well, it's like, there you go. Okay, so now if you look down, and there's sort of, we have some kind of fun idle stuff where you can sort of look at your gun a bit more and all the rest of the stuff. And that's sort of randomized between what you do. So yeah, I mean, and if we switch to third person right now, all the same, and go around to the front, Travis. So it's all the same motion and animation between the first and the third person. And we also, simulate everything. So if we fire now, you'll sort of see, you can see his fingers pulling as he's firing. So all of that's happening. We also, one of the other big things that we do is the gun shoots where the barrel's pointing. So it's not like most first-person shooters, when you're in the first-person mode, basically the gun, you're shooting where the mouse is pointing, your crosshairs pointing. Well, this is actually shooting exactly where the gun's pointing, and this is actually kind of another fairly big deal. In so much that when you're moving around, if you stop to iron sight, so I guess we could probably iron sight now, like in real combat, you don't really just sort of run around and start shooting, 'cause you don't have great accuracy, but so you would tend to want to stop and set and be able to shoot. And so we sort of simulate that, so if you can shoot from the hip or in a sort of version like this, but obviously it's not going to be as accurate as when you're shooting in the sort of the iron sight set, or when you're scoped or whatever. So, and it's exactly where you're pointing, so it doesn't cheat, it doesn't do all that. So we think ultimately that's going to make a much more sort of intense and realistic first-person experience. So that's sort of a little bit of a primer. We're actually going to run a full-featured multiplayer combat demo here, where you'll sort of see a lot of the things I talked about will all sort of be happening. So when you watch it, hopefully you'll appreciate some of these sort of details. But ultimately, I hope that the details are really going to sort of make the whole environment immersive. Before we start to do the demo, it's only fitting to finally introduce you guys to the very talented team, the Redacted developer, that have been working specifically on the first-person shooter aspect, and a lot of the sort of things that we've just shown you right now, and you'll see a lot more of. So let's run the video to meet Redacted, and then we'll bring them out.
Hi, my name is Chuck BRUNGARDT. I'm president of IllFonic.
Hi, my name is Kedron Gonzalez. I'm the creative director at IllFonic.
We started probably 7 years ago, actually, coming up November. I met Kedron. Basically, we started out of Paul Jackson, our lead programmer's garage here.
We started in a garage, to a studio apartment, to a small warehouse, to a spot above a nightclub my brother runs downtown.
A couple years later, had our first title, Nexus, that was part of THQ Partners. When we shipped Nexus, we were about 12, 13 people, so we're a really small team. We were the first licensee to ship a CRYENGINE 3 game. So it's kind of a big accomplishment for us.
Really excited now to finally be able to announce we're working on Star Citizen FPS. Get it out there in the open to the public and finally understand and see what we've been, really working hard on.
People are so excited to work on this project. Our team's kind of all age range, but they have a very young vibe and personality.
My name is David Langoliers, and I am senior producer here at IllFonic.
My name's Cole Gray. I work at IllFonic, and I'm the lead artist on the FPS module.
My name's RODNEY HOULE. I'm the lead designer, so I manage the design team here.
My name's Shane Stoneman. I'm a senior artist here at IllFonic.
My name's Matt Hubble. I'm an effects artist here at IllFonic.
My name is Brian McConnell, and I'm an animator here at IllFonic.
I'm Nick Fletcher. I'm a programmer here at IllFonic.
As far as first-person shooters, we're doing something pretty different and groundbreaking that will hopefully set the future of first-person shooters.
I think what makes the FPS so special in Star Citizen is the absolute sheer immersive physical animation-driven based system behind it that has never been seen before. There's never anything that's come close to this.
We're building a system where the first and third person rigs and cameras are all the same. So in normal FPS, you kind of have this where your gun is shoved up into your mouth and the camera is just a floating, bobbing head, and you look down, you don't see any feet. Everything in ours is gone when you look down. When you look up, you're not going to see the feet. Instead, you're going to see the top of your helmet and realism that I don't think we've really seen before.
Being the lead artist, I push for, excellence as much as possible as far as, the visuals. And, I thought that we were going to hit a certain level, and we've just pushed that, and we just keep pushing it, and it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight for how awesome this is going to get.
The main theme behind what Star Citizen FPS is, especially in like a persistent universe type setting, is it's a very high-risk gameplay. I think that's what makes it unique and special.
Some of the cool things you can do in Star Citizen FPS levels, for example, let's say if you're coming onto a space station and you don't know what to expect, there's a lot of bad guys, you and your entire team's been killed, and it's just you now. And you're there for whatever reason. Maybe you're trying to steal cargo, you're trying to assassinate somebody, you're trying to blow up the station. Most levels and most area station ships, a lot of planet-side locations will have the ability for players to radically change the playing field at any time. So you can go cut the power off the entire thing, you can turn off oxygen, you can open up all the hangar doors and suck everybody out, you can blow up, set a self-destruct and blow up the whole place. There's so many different things you can do to change the level you're playing in.
Like what we're trying to do is make it feel like it's realistic, like when you shoot from the hip, you're not gonna have good aim. You really need to focus on being careful and iron sighting like you would in real life. So it's bringing an element of simulation that has been lacking in FPS titles.
There's the risk of permanent death, so there's, always a high tension factor.
Already we have a bunch of stuff in the game, just like the different tactics that'll be used, especially with zero-G.
With Star Citizen, now we can fight first-person style in a zero-G environment. Everyone's floating around and you can shoot each other that way. I haven't seen anything like this before but in movies. It's gonna change the way that people play first-person shooters for years to come.
So what excites me most about Star Citizen, the community is massive and they support the game, and I really love how we're impressing the community, the actual fans that are gonna play it, and that's what game development should be about.
The thing I'm most excited about, I think honestly, is gonna be the day whenever I can log in and I can really mess with players, because the systems that are designed and put into place just allow a degree of just messing with players just the right way, like sneaking behind them, tricking them. You can really screw with people, and that's awesome.
The activity I'm most excited about in Star Citizen is probably playing the pirate. I've always been the type that likes to kind of play the bad guy in the video game.
Being able to hop from one ship mid-flight, jump on another ship, hijack it, mostly for the team dynamics that'll come from that.
Flying around and being able to board other people's ships and just sweep through and kill everybody and take all their stuff.
The thing that excites me the most about Star Citizen is just how big and ambitious the project is. The first-person shooter, the persistent universe, being able to fly and have the exploration.
There's been games that have done little parts of Star Citizen throughout, but there hasn't been a game that's been all the parts mashed together in one giant super game. And I think that's probably the most exciting part about it.
What excites me most would have to be the fact that we're basically groundbreaking the future of video games.
I'm really proud of my team here. They've been doing an amazing job. They've been working really, really hard. Chris asked me to come up with a design for the FPS system, and he told me the direction he was wanting to go in. I knew that The system I gave them as a design was going to be really difficult. Very thankful that they dealt with that and believed in my vision as well as Chris's vision and pushed themselves to make it happen.
It's the best thing that, you know, our studio's ever done, and it's really been an honor to have the opportunity to do it. As far as the studio, we've always wanted to be kind of in the AAA lane, making groundbreaking stuff that's pushing graphics and pushing gameplay. I think everyone's going to be really happy when they finally get to play this thing, you know, I guess early next year sometime.
Touchdown, 2 people. Ready up. Oh, that asshole ain't gonna know what hit him, sir. Might want to wake up Barnes then. Hey, Barnes. Time to clock in. You straight?
Gatekeeper has a POE.
Line clear that I want to light. That's secure. Opening now.
Copy that. Let's keep this pro and get home.
Everybody clear the bird.
All clear. All clear. Roger.
Let's not stand on ceremony, gentlemen. On me. We got a tight hallway here, so instead of a rolling T, let's go ahead and pick up a serpentine formation.
Roger that.
Switch to the knife!
All right, this is the security office right here. Stack up on me.
Ready.
Roger. Noise and light, gentlemen. We got a closed stairwell, 12 o'clock.
You're gonna say that you're a pirate, Kendra.
Sweep forward.
You're up.
You guys hear the Marines coming?
All right, guys.
Yeah, they got to be getting close.
Everybody clear?
All right.
Throw down an ADS.
Let's make
Roger.
sure these guys
Inside
have
the
a
door.
Position.
party.
Davey, dropping your shield.
Roger.
There we go. Won't see that coming.
Paul, grab some cover, Paul.
Let's make sure these guys have something to go home. Pray to.
We're good. Go.
Roger. Checking left. Rodney, go ahead and get up right.
Right clear.
Roger.
Let's get
On
this
me.
welcome package.
Wait for him. Wait for him.
Hey, heads on a swivel, guys. Heads on a swivel. They could be anywhere. They're here somewhere. Contact right.
Blast him.
There they are.
The windows.
Coming in.
Near ambush, near ambush. Rodney, on me. Chris, Chuck, I need you to pick up supporting fire time now.
On your six.
Roger.
Bring in the ring.
Pressing fire. I can't get him behind the shield. Oh, I'm down. I'm down.
One tango down. One enemy KIA. How copy? Over.
Frag out.
Grenades
I
to
have-
the door. Look out.
I have one enemy, 12 o'clock, moving to the right to your 1 o'clock. Rodney, you got him?
Enemy down.
Roger that. Sweeping forward. Hey, nice and slow, guys. Nice and slow. Dictated on our terms.
down.
Hey, another Tango down. Sectors are clear.
Clear.
All clear.
Roger.
Alright. So that's not all. We're going to show another aspect because we're in space. So the other area that we're working on is combat in zero G. So that's something that both on space stations and on ships you'll be able to turn gravity off and on, or maybe something damaged will lose the gravity generators. Jetpacks, gravity boots, and not in what we're showing, but is part of what will be part of when we actually release the module. There's going to be sort of a push-pull mechanic. Have you ever seen the movie Gravity, where Sandra Bullock's pulling and pushing herself along inside the space station? So you're going to have all those dynamics in zero G when you do combat. So I think we'll go to our zero G part of the demo, right?
All right, nice and slow, guys. I don't want to fall another one like last time.
Watching, I should say.
Hell of a view. Are you guys looking tight? Get tight.
Roger.
Got a door here. Check it. I'll cover.
6 is clear.
Door's locked.
Roger. All right, get in this hallway.
Watch the hallway.
Contact 12. Oh, it's a hologram. It's a hologram, guys. Hologram. They know we're here.
Watch the grenade. There they are.
I got hit with the EMP, guys. I got hit with the EMP.
They come.
You guys straight?
David, get to the generator. They're gonna be around this corner.
Contact.
Hey, hurry up and clear this door, guys. Clear the fatal funnel. Time now. Go. Let's go. Get out of here.
Okay. Watch on the bridge. They're in. Hit the grab.
We have multiple contact.
All right, I'm heading up.
Multiple contacts.
Shut it off.
You guys got a visual? I don't have a visual.
I don't know where they go.
Hit it. I don't got it.
All right, see one.
Make sure to stay near cover, gentlemen. Stay near cover.
Contact.
Are we losing gravity right now?
Gravity's going offline.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, he's got EMP.
Watch.
Hey, get some force propulsion grenades out.
Gravity's down. 9. We're in zero G.
Contact above the landing pad.
Get him towards the big area.
Contact center of the hangar. Trying to move to you, man. I can't really control it.
I got him in the corner.
All right, corner's down. I have contact coming towards me.
One in the middle. Get him in the middle.
Where are they?
Target down. So guys, well first of all it looks absolutely fantastic. Now, for me, we always sort of knew that the FPS side of it was going to be relatively good anyway because it's using the CRYENGINE like Crysis, so that part of it was there. But what I see in this is the approach you get to the FPS, and what I mean by that, you're flying in a ship, you land on a planet, you land on a space station, you land on another ship, and then you go for that FPS aspect of the game. And that's why it's going to make it really exciting. There is some really cool features in there. I like the shield thing that popped out the floor. Thought that was pretty cool. Not quite sure on the gravity thing yet, because I'm pretty certain that Chris said at one point that there will be gravity boots, so maybe you can overcome that flying mode as such. But it looks really cool. It looks like it's going to be great fun, particularly if you've got a sort of a multi-cruise ship. You can go and venture out in space and land on a station. Is going to be really, really cool. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. Is it what you expected, or did you expect more? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye now.